My name's Janet White and I work in Pfizer Pharmaceuticals at the Research and Development Center in La Jolla, California in the United States. Pfizer is a global healthcare company with R&D centers across America, Europe and Asia. Pfizer La Jolla is one of Pfizer's major R&D centers. We have other centers across Europe, Asia and the Americas, including one in Sandwich in Kent in the UK. At Pfizer La Jolla we have over 1,000 research scientists and other staff who are working to discover new therapeutic drugs. We work primarily in 3 disease areas. First of all, in discovery and development of new treatments for cancer. Secondly, in the development of ophthalmic drugs to treat eye diseases. And thirdly, in innovative vaccines for cancer and diseases of the central nervous system. My role is Research Portfolio Director for Cancer, and I provide strategic insight across Pfizer's portfolio of cancer research projects. I track the progress of the projects, and I also track various attributes of the programs. I'm also in charge of our research project management function, and I have a project manager who reports to me. One of the things I love about my job is the variety. No 2 days are ever the same, but in a typical week I might attend a number of project team meetings. A drug discovery research project usually consists of about 10 to 12 scientists from different disciplines. There can be biochemists, cell biologists, pharmacologists, medicinal chemists of course, toxicologists and pharmaceutical scientists who deal with the manufacturing and formulation of new drugs. Generally, big companies like Pfizer are very flexible about working hours, and as long as the work gets done, it's not really an issue whether you're working from your office, working from home, or if you're traveling, working on the road. US scientist salaries tend to be a little bit higher than they are in the UK, but on the flip side, we tend to get less vacation, so only 10 to 15 days of holiday time per year is fairly typical for an American company. In addition, most big American companies like Pfizer provide private healthcare insurance, and this is very important when you work in America because healthcare is very expensive, and at the moment there isn't really an equivalent to the national health system for people who are in their working years. I started out as a chemist working in pharmaceutical R&D at Beecham Pharmaceuticals. I always enjoyed chemistry at school. It was my favourite subject, and I liked the smells and the colours that I got from reactions. So when I went to university, I studied natural sciences, majoring in chemistry at Trinity College, Cambridge. I particularly enjoyed the intellectual challenges of organic synthesis and working out synthetic routes, as well as the theoretical challenges of quantum mechanics. And so I managed to combine both of those in my first job, which was an NMR or nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopist, working on solving the structures of new drugs, new antibiotic drugs. I realized after a few years, though, that it's difficult to get into a management position in the pharmaceutical research and development if you don't have a PhD. But rather than going back to university to take a PhD, I opted instead to study for an MBA with the Open University part-time while continuing to work in the lab. When I got my MBA, I left the lab and I went into management consulting, working in the London office of big consulting firm Arthur D. Little. And I applied my industry knowledge of the pharmaceutical industry as well as my MBA skills and qualifications to developing strategies for pharmaceutical and chemical company clients. I really enjoyed my time as a management consultant. I got to travel widely across Europe, the Middle East and the United States, and I worked in a great variety of client companies, both large and small, and on a variety of projects in different kinds of functional areas. In 2001, I moved to the United States with a startup consulting firm that I'd helped to found in London. And shortly after that, in 2002, I joined Pfizer for the first time. My first position in Pfizer was working as a strategy consultant, but in-house and as part of the research and development division. And then a few years later, I moved from there to another role in Pfizer in the clinical development group, where I worked for the clinical site head in development business operations. Since then, I've spent several years working in other La Jolla biotech companies in a business development and licensing function. I also got to travel a lot in those positions, which I enjoyed very much. And I came back to Pfizer earlier this year in my current role for drug discovery and drug development. These have been really invaluable for me as I've gone from one opportunity to another, and I've really taken those advantages to learn and apply those learnings to my next position. Another thing that's helped me very much in my career is building a strong network of other professionals in the biotech and pharmaceutical industries. I'm a member of the Royal Society of Chemistry, of the American Chemical Society, and the Association for Women in Science. And I found those contacts and connections have been very helpful to me in my career in finding opportunities and learning more about the industry.